Welcome back to Primetime on UTTV. Hope you're having a great Thursday. I'm Taylor Baldwin. Thanks for joining us. All right, this is a heartbreaking story. 2 local caretakers were convicted of abusing a severely autistic man, but both of the caregivers were only sentenced to 1 year behind bars. And the judge ruled they would get credit for time served, so these men are free right now. Joining me to talk about why she thinks justice wasn't served is Kim Oakley, the mother of Jamie Oakley, who was the victim in all of this. Welcome back to Primetime.
Thanks.
I'm so sorry. I know you must be heartbroken, and
I am.
I don't even really know what to say, because I feel you were on the show before telling us about the case, and I was hoping that justice would be served. So why don't you tell the viewers what has happened since the last time you were here and how you're feeling about it?
Well, the good news is that the nurse that was caught eye gouging my son got 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors, so that's a good thing. I was very disappointed in the judge not following the probation department's recommendation that he spend 4 years in prison. That should have been, he should have been sent to prison for sure. I mean, we're talking about repeated eye gouging, thumbs gouging into my son's eyes.
Let's back up, and so the viewers that have just tuned in and they might not be familiar with the case, kind of summarize what had happened and why these the abuse, explain to them all the stuff they did and how you found out.
There were 2 caregivers, one RN named Michael Dale Garrettson. He was caught repeatedly on video surveillance while he was working only 1 shift per week with our son. And he is seen repeatedly eye gouging our son while my son is simply just sitting on the bed doing nothing. And on the videos, Mr. Garrettson is getting up every time my son makes a noise or tries to sit up, and walks over and gouges him in the eye.
Like with his thumb? I don't understand why
very bizarre.
I've never heard of that.
It's we did a lot of research into that kind of behavior, and when people
there's video where there's the video of him doing it. I mean I would do that to somebody who was trying to rape me. I don't get that.
Yeah, they don't even allow eye gouging in MMA fights because it's considered such a barbaric and bizarre act. It's really a sign of somebody who's mentally ill. That eye gouge right there is really disturbing, because the same eye that he's gouging is the same eye that we see later swollen out to here. Now here's the double eye gouge. He gouges.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
it's so hard for me to watch. This is your son.
Every time I see it, my heart just starts to race.
I'm so sorry. But the viewers need to know the story, because everybody has a voice, right? I'm sorry. This is too tough to talk about. You're a strong woman, and you're fighting for your son right now, okay?
It's just, clearly there's something very evil about a person that does that. And that is what I think bothers me the most, is that an evil man has gotten away with doing this to our son. And I don't understand how a judge could look at that unless he really didn't look carefully, or he disassociated himself from it just because he's been in the courtroom too long. Maybe he got desensitized. And it's not his son, it's not his daughter that got eye gouged by this horrible man.
It's more than eye gouge. He hit your son, right?
He grabbed him by the hair and slammed him to the ground. You can hear my son moaning after it. And there's the picture of the eye wound. That's the same exact wound, the same eye that he was eye gouging. And we showed that to the jurors, and I think that was one of the reasons that he was found guilty on count 1 of a felony. And there's another double eye gouge. I mean, it just goes on.
Now, there's video of this because you had a nanny cam in the room.
Yes.
And
that recorded. It's a motion detector. And so it captures motion, and that's the defense really tried to play around with that and think, oh, did you edit it? No, we got to.
How can you edit that?
You can't edit that.
I have a production company. You can't edit that.
No, you don't. You can't.
I mean, that clearly is not an actor, and
no, that's real, and yeah, it's
baby.
Yeah, it's just sick stuff. I mean, this is a sick man, and what's even sicker is that he was previously convicted of animal cruelty, and the judge wouldn't let us talk about that in court. even though there's research to show that animal cruelty leads to human violence.
Hey, if you're mean, you're mean. It generalizes into all areas of your life.
Well, the DA told me that animal cruelty in California is not considered a crime of moral turpitude.
What?
So you're not allowed to bring it up in court when somebody else is brought up on charges.
Well, that needs to change.
Yeah, it needs to change.
See, that's what I'm saying. You coming on the show, you have a platform, you have a voice, and the judge might have sentenced him, you know, unfairly, right?
Right.
To you, to your
me.
son. But you have a voice. This is your podium, your platform to tell your story, to honor your son.
Yeah. I think for sure animal cruelty needs to be considered a crime of moral turpitude, especially because it leads to human violence. If it had been, Mr. Gerritsen would not have had his RN license. He still had his RN license after he was convicted of animal cruelty.
Does he still have it?
No, thank God.
Wasn't there a baby in the situation where there was a death of a baby that he
30
was
years ago,
with?
Mr. Gerritsen and his wife were involved in a trial where they were both charged with the murder and cover-up and conspiracy of covering up the death of an infant in their care. So, you know, at some point people have to put these together and say, okay, there was an infant that died in your care, 150 animals on your property were neglected and abused, and then you go on years later and now you're abusing my son. I mean, you have a pattern here of a real sick person.
The problem is he's on the streets.
He's loose. He's back in Valley Center living with his family and doing God knows what, probably, you know, scheming some vindictive way to retaliate against us. I don't know. He's a sick man. I don't trust him at all. I don't trust his family. I think there definitely needs to be laws in place that prohibit people like him, from getting out so easy.
What other ramifications does he have to face? I know that he served his time in jail, but he had his nursing license revoked. What else? Anything else?
The California Board of Nursing is still working on their investigation, but they have temporarily suspended it, but they are going to do their own investigation, and I'm sure they'll pull it. They're not dumb. And he's on 3 years probation, and I think the judge just asked him to do some cognitive training.
Couldn't you sue him on a civil level?
Yes, and it's a possibility. With the right attorney, we could do it. After he was arrested, he went and switched all of his properties into his kid's name, but apparently that is a fraudulent transaction.
Yeah,
so, yeah, I guess he knew he was guilty. So, yeah, I just hope that other people watching this will know that you gotta protect your loved ones.
And you are so smart for putting the nanny cam. Otherwise, you would never know this has happened.
Never ever could we have known.
Like you're talking about babies who don't talk and autistic children, mental. It doesn't matter. You need to protect your kids. They can't verbalize what's happening to them. So you're a good mom.
Thank you.
You're a good mom. And let's talk about your son. How is he doing now?
He's doing really well. We put him into massage therapy, which a lot of people kind of went, well, why massage? Well, he doesn't talk, so it's not like he's going to go in front of a psychologist and express his feelings. Massage therapy we thought would be the most therapeutic way to let him to feel healing touch and calm his nervous system, and it's been really great. So that's
fantastic.
That's good.
Do you guys ever do therapy with animals, horses?
Yes, he loves. We have 2 Australian cattle dogs who he loves, and they love him. And we do a lot of pool therapy, hydrotherapy, put him in the hot tub, and just lots of sensory. His whole world is sensory, which is very common to a lot of autistics, especially severely autistic people. A lot of sensory therapy. So,
well, let's hope he trusts again, huh?
Yeah, and he's surrounded by people that love him and will always love him and always protect him.
And that's all you can do. You're a great mom.
Thank you.
For standing up for your son.
Thank you.
I have a lot of respect for you. You're a strong woman, okay?
Try.
The rest of your life's going to be great. Thank you so much for coming on Primetime telling your story. Is there one last thing that you would like to tell the viewers before you leave?
Always trust your instinct, always trust your gut. If you think that a caregiver is not somebody you can trust, put up video surveillance. The worst thing that can happen in the absence of video surveillance. So put it up there. Just put up video surveillance, and hopefully nothing will ever be happening to your loved one. But if it is, It is so hard to catch them because a lot of these caregivers are sophisticated. They know how to blame all your child's injuries or your demented, you know, elderly loved one. Oh, she has dementia. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
She keeps hitting herself. Didn't one of the abuses happen when you were there and you didn't know?
No, none of them happened when I was there. It was
your husband, maybe?
My husband was there. I was out of the country visiting my grandchildren. I wasn't on a luxury European vacation.
But I'm just saying that's awareness to everybody else out there. If have that nanny cam, be aware, because it can have them right under your nose and you don't know it.
It can, and my husband still feels crushed by this.
He's
a fireman, you know.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault.
He didn't know. They were very phony in front of us, and that's another thing I want to warn people. These caregivers can be so nice to you and work you and con you, and then behind your back they're doing these insane, crazy things. You never know. Only the video will tell you.
I'm sorry you had to go through this. I'm sorry your son and your family had to go through this.
Thank you.
Let's have brighter days ahead for you and your family.
Yes, I believe that.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.